Welcome back to the Matter of Facts podcast on the Prepper Broadcasting Network. We talk prepping, guns, and politics every week on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Go check out our content at MoFpodcast.com on Facebook or Instagram. You can support us via Patreon or by checking out our affiliate partners. I'm your host, Phil Rabalais, and my co-host, Andrew Bobo, is on the other side of the mic, and here's your show. Welcome back to the Matter of Facts podcast. Andrew and I are finally back behind our microphones in our homes at opposite ends of the country and not basically being temporary roommates like we were in Arkansas, which was fun. You didn't snore as much as I thought you would.
You did.
I did?
No, tell Piper she snored. She about snored me out.
I was about to say that was probably my daughter snoring. I don't know how a human that small produces that volume of noise, but it's impressive.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was a fun trip. It was much needed. But it was good. I think it completely screwed up my sleep schedule though, because normally I work second shift, so it's like I get home and I'm usually up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4, and finally go to bed, and I wake up around 11 o'clock or something, noon. And yeah, I ever since camping, I have not been able to sleep past like 7, and like the whole weekend camping, I was up before you, which I was shocked, because usually you're like the first one up. You got coffee going, you've already showered, like you already got stuff going. And for a few days I was like, why is Phil still sleeping? But
see, there's a good reason for that though, because normally when we're camping, I set an alarm, and that is what wakes me up early in the morning. And I'm good as long as I have a wake up. But see, I was told by somebody
at prepper camp here, I thought you were just like waking up on your own and everything.
No, I set an alarm, but I set it very quietly so I don't wake up the whole campsite. But here's the problem. See, I was sharing a bed with someone, my wife, who specifically threatened my life if I set an alarm while we were camping. I was directed, and some would say threatened and bullied, to like not set an alarm, to like it's a vacation, treat it like a vacation, don't jump up out of bed first thing in the morning. So I let the birds be my alarm clock, and when they started chirping in the morning, which was about like 7:30 in the morning most mornings, that's when I would get up.
Yeah, no, it was good, because it was like it was actually nice, because like the one morning I got up, I had breakfast waiting for like everybody, which just coffee and stuff. So, and then and then the one morning I got up, made coffee, and like I took the chair, because we were right on the lake. So basically I took the chair and watched the sunrise, and everything. And so I just sat there and just sat there at the edge of the water and just kind of watched everything and just listened. And it was really nice. It was really peaceful. Just really enjoyed it, and just drank coffee. And then I heard you guys up, and then I walked up and stuff. And then you were like, "Where'd you go?" I'm like, "Oh, down at the water." But did some fishing. Tommy's one son, him and I did some fishing, and didn't catch anything, unfortunately, but it was still relaxing, being able to throw the lure out a little bit here and there. And unfortunately, just with we couldn't get out deep enough to get anything. And plus, then the banks, they didn't really have anything good for like bass or anything to sit in and around the edges of the water. But no, it was still fun though. It was still fun to kind of get out and fish and stuff like that. So. Yeah, that week was really busy for me. I put like 2,500 miles on my truck.
Well, you broke it in then.
Yeah.
You're halfway to your first oil change.
I'm actually I got 500 more miles and I'm at my first oil change.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing that you and I were talking about before you came out, because this was your first Matter of Facts camping trip since you missed the first year, which we forgave you for mostly. We didn't hide any fake spiders around the campsite, put it that way. But that was like when you and I and Gillian really like sat down to talk about what we wanted out of this. It was like very important to all of us that like this wasn't prepper camp. There are no classes, there's no schedule, there's nothing. It is literally, I'm going to be here from this date to this date. Y'all come out if y'all want to. And we right now we've only really opened this up to the patrons, Mostly because I'm not sure I want, no offense to the listenership, but I'm not sure I want 1,000 people just showing up unannounced. Like
Well,
I'd like to keep the event a little on the smaller side and move it around the country so that we can kind of like, try to accommodate groups of people to meet the audience in a little bit more of a controlled manner than what prepper camp has turned into. Because like I know the last couple years you and I went to prepper camp, we've had people literally just like walk up to the campsite and like catch us between classes, be like, "Hey, you're so and so," and it's been fun, it's been enjoyable, but it hasn't been really relaxing, I would
right.
say. You know what
Well,
I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Like to me, what prepper camp has become is it's become an event, and
mhm.
I enjoy it, but it's not relaxation. It's go go go. And this we were very particular about making sure that this was like as open and as relaxing and as low key of an event as possible. Although I do think the campsite finally figured out that like we were all together because didn't you
Yeah.
say that you were up at the lodge and they were like, "Oh, you're part of that huge group down there."
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, and you and I talked about. I remember when you pitched the whole idea of doing an MoF trip. And you and I talked about having it open to the public, to everybody, or just Patreons. And I really like the idea of just keeping it to the Patreon, just because, again, it's you and I have racked our brains on what can we do to give back to those who support us. And I mean, I'm not saying like anybody who listens to us, that's supporting, but people who actually are like they're donating money to us and helping the show, because without them, we wouldn't be able to really do it and or upgrade like and get to where we've gotten. But it's one of the best ways that I found to be able to give back to the Patreon group. I mean, we're constantly thinking of ideas and trying to come up with stuff uh, to give back and for perks, and we're always trying to add perks and trying to and evolve that side of the show. So I mean, yeah, I agree, and I mean if you want to join in on the show on it, I mean, it's you can join Patreon for a really low amount of money. And then unfortunately, I don't think we're going to prepper camp this year. I think maybe in the next, maybe another year or two, maybe I'll try to go back. I kind of pitched it to Tommy to maybe, hey, maybe I'll fly out to Georgia and ride in with him, kind of thing, and and just try to. If it depends on if they go overnight or if they go uh, just for the day or something, but yeah, I mean it's just with vacation and just work and life and stuff like that. Got to pick and choose. Unfortunately, I don't have like 7 months of vacation that I can just use, so I'm limited on it. So I got it's kind of got to pick and choose. So maybe one year I'll go back and do it. But no, it was a fun trip. It was great to see everybody, the people that came out. I mean, it was awesome meeting everybody, and we had fun. And that
It
was
wasn't it wasn't like a it wasn't an event either. It was a big group of friends. Like that
yeah.
was the vibe, and that's
Yeah, and that's
that's
what
what
it
I
came down
love.
to is just like, hey, hey, so and so's coming down now, and or hey, we got. And then what was nice is the peninsula, like you were telling me, because we had the peninsula's got 3 yurts on it. Everybody had their own yurt, and like so we had the whole peninsula. So we weren't really bothered. We had some people drive down that were I think they were looking at the yurts just to like, hey, what do these look like? How big are they? Stuff like that. Otherwise, like we didn't we weren't bothered. It was really nice, and so and then I mean, we just did our own thing, and that's what was really nice, and it was nice. This felt like what prepper camp did our first year going, and it felt like a good vacation. It felt like a getaway. If it didn't feel like work, it didn't feel like. And I'm not saying this feels like work, but when you've gone to prepper camp for like 4 or 5 years and you stop going to the classes because you're more networking, it is kind of work, and it turns into
Mm.
more of a not a vacation in a way, and that feeling. But I'm not complaining about prepper camp. It's just they're both nice, and so yeah, I would like to see the MOF camping trip grow. It'd be nice to see it grow. Hopefully, I know we got to sit down and talk about uh, another location because we're looking at possibly a different location for next year. But hopefully more people can come next year because it would be awesome to get 30, 40 people out there camping and just having fun. And maybe we could turn it into something to where not trying to replace prepper camp, but maybe we can replace or we can do where, hey, like let's do a fire building class or let's do it's whatever. And but what the thing though is, I'm going on a long speech here, but the thing is do we want to do that? That's the other question: is do we want to have that do that with this? Where this was, everybody just did their own thing. They were there with families and stuff. Went to hot springs. They went, I decided I was like looking for ice, so I was like, hey, and that's when I found the lodge, and that's when I talked to the people in the lodge, and they were like, and that's when I told them like, yeah, this group, and they're like, oh, okay, so you guys rented out all 3 yurts. I go, yeah. Oh, you guys are all together. I go, yeah. So, it was seeing that, and then, yeah, it was interesting. So it was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, that was what was most important to me about this trip, was that it be relaxing and it it not be something where anybody felt any pressure to engage in anything.
Yeah.
It was always advertised as you make your own arrangements, you provide your own, provide your own libations and food, and you run what you brung. And there, we've had people at this event that go the full spectrum from like sleeping in the back of their Jeep all the way to staying in the lodge, and it's just whatever your comfort level is. I mean, there's a reason why my family gets a yurt, because that up till now has been like the bare minimum comfort level for my wife and daughter. I'll sleep in a tent on the ground. I don't care, but not everybody's wired that way. But as far in like what you just brought up, as far as like thinking about doing classes and stuff like that in conjunction with this camping trip, like we've kicked that idea around, like just not even just like me and Gillian, but like me and other people that came out, and I haven't totally warmed up to the idea yet. I think I'm more of the mindset of like let that be organic and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Not something that's planned. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because like we've always said, like one of the cool things about prepper camp when you get all of us camping together is we all wind up going home with a wish list because we see each other's gear, and inevitably somebody's like, that's really cool, that solves a problem that I've had, or that fills a hole that I have. And they go, and like we get all of our best ideas from networking with each other because we all have different environments, different perspectives, different knowledge bases, and we've just seen different things. So we look at problems differently. And like that's been the cool thing about it. I mean, I am pretty sure I sold at least 3 people on the idea of a 12-volt fridge over this weekend, because like I've told everybody that was the biggest camping game changer I've had in years. It made the entire experience of trucking in food and keeping it in a controlled environment so much simpler than what I've ever had to deal with in the past with an ice chest.
Yeah.
It's not what I would call cheap. And then it does kind of tie you to the idea that you need either a battery pack or you need a place to plug it in 110 AC. But that being said, if you get over those 2 hurdles, it really does make a difference. But again, until you have the ability to see the way somebody uses a piece of equipment, I don't think you really get a good appreciation for like being able to envision yourself using it and enjoying it and being useful to them.
Right.
But
yeah.
I'd be okay with fire building classes or whatever else. I hesitate to like schedule it.
No,
You know what
I'm
I'm
not
saying?
saying schedule. It would be just, hey, if people are sitting around a fire or they're sitting around somewhere, hey, you guys want to try this, or do you want to go for a hike? Even if you just go for a hike. I mean, and that's the thing. So, and again, this comes down to, it's a vacation, and I almost keep forgetting because we got along so well, and like it's just a group of friends from around the U.S. that I've never met some of these people before, and it was great to meet them and everything. But it was like almost like just long distance friends that you haven't seen in a while that are getting together and they're just hanging out. And what cracks me up is a couple of times I kept thinking like, they listen to you and I. Like these people, like they're here because they listen to you and I, and they support us, and they came out to like hang out. I'm not saying with us, but just they came out to hang out. And that just it's still today, like you and I have been podcasting for like 6 years and
7.
7 years, yeah. So
Time
to
flies
me,
when you're having fun.
yeah, right. But it just it still blows my mind that people are like, "Hey, we're gonna listen to you weekly," and tune in. Like it still blows my mind. It's funny. It's humbling. It makes me laugh because I don't I don't like the sound of my own voice, so I can't believe other people do.
Humbling is the right word for it. But I think the key there is that like I've noticed that when I'm with this group, whether it's been prepper camp in the past or it's the MoF camping trip, like it feels like the pieces just click together very well
Hmm.
because we even though we all do have different perspectives, like we are very like minded. Everyone has at least a common group of like ideas and life philosophies and a common interest in a lot of things. And I think for that reason, even if we hadn't all met around a podcast, I feel like if we'd have just bumped into each other and been forced to sit next to each other at the DMV for a couple hours, we'd have probably ended up talking because we all clicked together. And that's been the cool thing about the Matter of Facts camping trip. But probably the thing I'm the happiest about is prepper camp has, not that no one brings their kids to prepper camp because some people do, but the number of children, the proportion of adults to children at prepper camp has always been very lopsided because there's just a lot of people, especially that time of year, especially for the fact that the event starts on a Friday morning, so you're almost obligated to drive on a Thursday, and it's in the middle. It's not in the middle of like a break from school. So a lot of people don't bring their kids to it because it involves yanking them out of school and it involves living in a tent in the woods, and a lot of people just aren't comfortable with that. But the way we've engineered this event, I'm seeing kids coming out.
Hmm.
Even kids who are not like traditional live in the woods camping. So it's an interesting dynamic to realize that like we've kind of engineered this event in such a way that people can bring their kids, because if their kid is just not going to be comfortable anywhere but a hotel room, there's hotel rooms right up the street.
Hmm.
And if your kid's comfortable living in a tent, there's plenty of sites. So
Yeah.
this has been my requirement for when we move this event next year, because it's not going to go back to Arkansas. Like, I love Lake DeGray. It will always be one of my favorite campsites, but I feel like it has to move every year or every 2 years. It's got to
Well, it
move
doesn't.
around.
And that's not saying like it's not going to go back to Lake DeGray, because I found a couple fishing spots that I'd like to try.
Mm,
Events, but we're looking at other spots just to just make it easier for other people to maybe join in, or just to see different stuff. Because as much fun as Lake DeGray is, I mean, it'd be fun to just go camp in the Smokies, or go down south further, or go, just explore different areas. And that's the whole thing about camping and everything like that, is just exploring. And
yeah.
so it's just, and just getting people out. And yeah, so we'll see. I mean, we got to sit down, and I think, we just got to sit down and just figure out, okay, like, let's find a place and figure out if how much it's going to cost and all that kind of stuff. Because unfortunately, we're not. If I would love to be able to just to pay for everybody, but unfortunately, we're not there yet. But
Oh no.
um,
I,
but
I
no,
can buy
it
I
was
can
fun.
buy I can buy a case of beer. We can
Yeah,
split that
right.
up.
Yeah. No, it was just. I mean, it was fun. It was a great time, great group of people. I would. I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't stay. Like, I wanted to stay the whole week, but I had a lot of traveling. That whole week was packed with traveling for me. But it was a busy week, but it was fun. And with camping and stuff like that, like, it was fun. It was much needed. Like, it was a very much needed vacation for me. Plus, like, it was just nice because, like, I turned my phone off for 3 days, and that was nice. I literally did not look at my phone for 3 days, and like, if you've never done that, I highly suggest doing that. Like, it's such a nice break, not looking at technology, not doing any of that crap, and just being in nature, drinking a cup of coffee at the side of the water, going for a walk with a fishing rod, like, and just having a good talks and good conversations with friends. Like it was so much fun. And so and I'm thankful for everybody that came out and it was part of it.
Oh, before we get to our topic, Stuart just messaged me and was haranguing me about where's this morning's episode. So for those of you listening to this in audio, we're recording this at 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and I know this episode usually goes out at 4 o'clock in the morning. However, adulting and schedules kind of got in our way. So yeah, this will go out a few hours late, and one of our faithful, aggravating patrons has already started haranguing me and blowing my phone up about where's my podcast.
Tell him to go back.
I knew I could depend on him.
Well, ask him
no.
text him back, like, why aren't you in the live feed?
Probably because he's at work.
Nah.
But I'm totally giving him a hard time and putting him on blast in relative public, just because like he has saved me so many times in the past not 7 years. He's been a listener for a very long time. I don't remember exactly when we came across him, but like he's been the one consistently, because we've been so consistent about getting that episode out 4 a.m. every morning, or every Friday morning.
There he is.
He's been the one to catch me and say, hey, your episode didn't go out. And like sometimes our podcast host will goof up or do something crazy, and even though I've scheduled it and I've gone on about my business expecting it to go out, it wouldn't. And then he'll be the one to be like, hey, your episode didn't post, and I'll have to go in and manually do it. So yeah, he just caught me, and I knew he would. It's 5.5 hours late. He's old and cranky. He's like the grandfather I don't have.
Yeah. We need to
I'm
make
still
we need to make him a shirt, and that says Patreon grandfather or MoF grandfather. That's what we should do.
Before we get to topic, I have literally asked him about his lineage, because like I'm convinced he and I have some common ancestry somewhere that neither one of us knows about. It has to be. It must be. I don't know if he would want to claim me, though. I wouldn't.
Right.
But let's get to topic. We've groused about camp. Camp was fun. Camp was a blast. We're gonna move camp next year, and I have kind of an open-ended discussion in the Signal chat going about where to put that. And Gillian is being very good about, like, she's doing a lot of the research because she plans all of our trips anyway, so she's good at it. Mm-hmm. But like, she's reaching out to several different people, kind of the people at the furthest corners of that relative group, right, to say, is this a good spot for you? Because like one of the groups that we're really trying to be cognizant of is like you and the Rains family, because y'all are at the northernmost edge of that radius we're looking at. So we want to plan this in such a way that it's somewhat convenient for y'all, seeing how y'all have had 2-day drives in the past.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah. So topic, buying in bulk. If looking at prices of everything, and this is kind of like, right. And what brought this about was I was walking around my grocery store, and I love steak. I will never stop eating steak. I don't care what the freaking people say. But what are you gonna say? What smart do you have?
I was just gonna say, how many bucks a pound was that ribeye you were looking at? I want to compare notes, because I saw the price of ribeye the other day, and I about screamed in the store.
I think it was $3.50 a pound
for ribeye.
I think, yeah, if I remember
right.
No. This was for a New York strip.
Okay.
Not a ribeye.
Still cheaper than what I have down here recently.
Yeah, and so I don't remember exactly. I should run downstairs and grab the roast I got. But anyway, so what brought this up was walking around my local grocery store, looking at bulk food versus the individual packed steaks and chicken breasts and stuff like that. And this goes across the board. Ammo, I mean, name your item, and basically buying in bulk usually is better. And yeah, so anyway, I was going through the grocery store and I was like, I really don't want to spend much money. End up spending like $150, but I walked out thinking and feeling like I got more for my dollar than I would have if I would have bought like individual steaks, individual like the chicken breast, stuff like that, instead of I mean, and this goes into play to where like when you buy in bulk, make sure you have the stuff to separate it out. So if you want to weigh stuff out, get a food scale, and then also invest in a decent vacuum sealer. And because if you buy in bulk, like, and that's one of my things I'm doing today is, so again, I walk around the grocery store looking at steaks was one of my examples, and I was like, okay, they had these New York strips on sale, or not even on sale, but they had them, about they ranged about $10 to $12 a steak. And then I'm looking around, I'm digging through the pile, and then I come across the family packs of three, and they were like $30, $30 for three. So I was like, okay, $10 a steak. So you're saving a couple bucks versus buying individual there. But then I'm looking around and I found the New York strip roast, and that was like $35, I want to say. And this roast, I don't remember how big it was, but I measured out the size of their steaks that they were cutting to the comparison to the roast, and this roast averaged about 8 steaks. So $35 for, and that's if I cut them at their size. I probably won't. I'll probably cut them maybe a little bit bigger, depends. But $35 for 8 steaks basically versus $30 for 3 steaks, and 10.50 to 12 something, for one steak. And so that got my mind rolling as far as buying in bulk. Now going to chicken breast and stuff like that, I bought a bigger thing of chicken breast, even though I didn't necessarily want to. But again, looking at individual or 3-pack chicken breast versus the 12 or 15-pack, looking at that again, cheaper. Looking at chicken thighs, cheaper in bulk. Like, and that's where I'm getting at is and that's where this is at a grocery store chain that is known for up in Michigan and stuff like that. But this goes to where I got thinking about, okay, well, now what would the local butcher have? And so that was on my to-do list today, was look up local butchers and actually go there and see if I can't, and look around and see what they have. Because a lot of the times, like my mom and dad up north, further north than me, like one of their butchers, they had it was like 40 pounds of chicken, boneless chicken breast, and they were like $1 something a pound.
Mm-hmm.
So like, look at that. So that's where I'm trying to go, is look at your local butchers, and then look at trying to buy in bulk. And again, look at ammo. Well, let's stay on food, I guess.
Let's stay on food because I got a few things to add in here. And food's important. I would say that when it comes to food, part of what you need to think about sometimes is not just like what you were saying, like get the big roast and then cut it up yourself, but you also have to consider, like, I don't want to use the word quality, but there's very often, like, there's kind of when you're looking at ground beef is my personal favorite because I go through a lot of it. We make tacos a fair bit down here, and it's just a thing. But like, I've always noticed that the really, really lean ground beef, like the stuff is like 90% lean, 95% lean, is often $1.50 or $2 a pound more expensive than the 80/20. Now, I am going to preface this by saying that I am one of those people that thinks that the USDA food pyramid and the majority of health advice that we've gotten around food for the last 30 years is complete bullcrap. And this idea that like animal fat makes you fat is just stupid. If you disagree, take my completely uneducated opinion for what it's worth, which is zero. However, people used to eat animal fat all the daggum time, and obesity was never a problem. So I'm thinking there's probably something else going on. That's probably a discussion to have with a nutritionist if we can ever find one that wants to come on the show. But that being said, I get the 80/20 ground beef. It's got more fat in it. It's got more flavor, frankly. I think it's better for you, and it's a fair bit cheaper. When it comes to like pork chops, I get the big bulk packs of pork chops, like the family packs, because it's almost always cheaper. But the thing you have to consider is not just like the price, but obviously look at the unit price. Because like you discovered by getting the strip roast and then, portioning it up yourself. It's that price per pound or that price per ounce that is really the telltale. And if you go and you get a big old slab of ribeye individually wrapped versus a family pack, you have to look at the unit price, because some grocery store chains will put 3 of them in a container and then actually amp up the price per ounce or the price per pound a little bit. Makes no sense to me, but I've seen them do it. And as we go like further down this list, like there will be many more examples of that kind of tomfoolery. But the other thing I found is that, like, and this is kind of a one-off for our area, but like we got an invitation several months ago to basically get like 30 pounds of chicken thighs for free, because there's a local place down here, like chicken cracklings is a thing, which is just, it's fried chicken skin. It's like pork rinds, but made with chicken.
I'm still upset at Gillian that she did not bring my chicken cracklings.
We ran out of time. We couldn't get them before we came up. You could come down here. We'll take you to go get some.
I need to.
Anyway. But anyway, well, this local place that makes them, they buy chicken thighs, they take the skin off, they make their product, and then they literally get rid of the thighs, because they don't sell fried chicken, or they don't sell any of that stuff. And chicken thighs without the skin on them don't have a whole lot of value, so they usually wind up donating it to local food kitchens or homeless shelters, or they just give it away. So somebody that we know that happens to know the owners basically got like 80 pounds of chicken thighs for free and brought us 40 pounds of it. And there's a lot of chicken thighs in my freezer right now. And the fact it has no skin isn't breaking my heart.
Well, the thing is, though, too, so is it boneless?
No, it's bone in.
A bone in. Well, see, and that's the thing, though, is if you look at canning, like, because the downside is the freezer, you have the potential of possibly getting it, it turned into freezer burn after sitting for so long. But if you took the time and you deboned it and then you cubed it up or whatever, and then like if you guys got a canner and you guys canned, because that's what my mom and dad, the one time that they bought the chicken breast in bulk, they sat there. My mom one day just sat there and she sliced a bunch of stuff up and then canned the chicken. And so they have a ton of chicken sitting on the shelf and pressure cans, in the jars that it will last for years. I don't mean, as long as the top doesn't, the seal holds, it'll last. And that's the thing is, so like I would definitely be looking at that, and that kind of goes into like with you looking at your local butcher. Look at, I mean, grocery stores are they're quick and easy and fast, but if you can go to a butcher or you can go to a farmer and you can get a locally raised cow or a locally raised pig and have that butchered, you go in with somebody. I'm almost wondering how much it would cost me, because you look at, okay, well, how many steaks do you want? How many of this? How many of this? What's this? Well, just don't give me any steaks. Just give me roasts. Just give me all these roasts, and I'll do my own steaks. I'll cut my own stuff up, kind of thing like that. Like, I just wonder like what the cost is versus, okay, I want steaks and all that stuff, because you're paying them for their service. Not only are you paying for the cow, but you're paying for them their time to slice it all up and package it all up and stuff like that. Well, if you make it easier on their end, that might drop the price down a little bit. I don't know. I haven't looked into that too much, but yeah, that's my next steps, is looking at local raised beef and hog. And I'm looking at, I wouldn't mind getting a quarter beef or something and a hog. So
now we get to your favorite topic.
I
buying
hate
ammo.
Guns are bad. They're terrible.
I need a new co-host. No, like ammo is one of those things where like I cannot remember a time I've seen bulk ammo cost more per round than individual. Like, use some common sense. From the same retailer at the same moment in time, same cartridge. Like, usually if you buy 100, it costs one amount per round. If you buy 1,000, it costs a fair bit less because you're buying in bulk. And like, ammo is one of those things where like all the discussion about canning and vacuum packing and dehydrating and how to store it and keeping it in a freezer goes out the window with ammo, because as long as you don't let it get wet, it's pretty much got to be good ammo for longer than you're going to be alive. Like people are still cracking open Spam cans that were made around World War II, and it fires off just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So I mean, on an average, what is it? For a 50-round box of ammo, usually they're around $14 or $15. You know, about 14. I think I found when I was in Arkansas. So I went to Jonesboro first, and I stopped at an Academy Sports, and I found some Blazer, and I think it was on sale for like $12.50 or $12 a 50. So so you're sitting there. That's not right. So that's about 24 cents a round, give or take. 25, yeah, about 25 cents a round. But you're looking at, that's a thing, is like you're looking at, when you look at price per round, and if you were to sit there and buy and sit there and you were to grab pack after pack after pack and get 1,000 rounds of that Blazer, I mean, it's going to cost you more at the end of the day, especially with taxes and all that stuff. And like Phoenix Ammo right now, I mean, they have 9mm 115, sorry, for a 250 count for like $90 right now. So just looking at bulk, and that's the thing, like what you said, is getting in bulk is just easier too. I mean, yeah, buying one or two, if you need if you're at the store and you see it, grab it, kind of thing, and that never hurts. The more ammo, the better. But yeah, buying in bulk with ammo too, shotgun, pistol, rifle, everything. If you can buy it in bulk, the better. I know I saw a drum can that I would love to get because it was like a million.
like the 55-gallon drums.
Yeah, it was like a million rounds or whatever it was, and I was like, anybody want to go in on this with me? It's only like a couple grand. Like,
I mean, honestly, if you pitch that idea with a couple of the guys at MDFI, you might find some takers.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you wouldn't even. All you'd have to do is just pop that open at the range and just everybody, get a bucket out and go to the line.
Right.
But I wanted to ask, like, have you noticed? Of course, here's the one reloading nerd. I'm a reloading nerd too, so I'm allowed to call other people reloading nerds. But have you noticed that the incentive to buy in bulk tends to be greater with premium ammo? Like, you looked at Blazer. Blazer is already made to such... Mm-hmm. Or not, I don't even want to pick on Blazer, even though I don't care for the ammo or the brass. The brass is awful to reload. But, like, if you look at your bargain basement, your cheapest plinking ammo out there, your steel case, it's already made so cheaply that there's not a huge savings to buy in bulk. But have you noticed that with premium ammo, like Federal HSTs, what I buy for carry, there tends to be a bigger price difference if you're willing to buy 250 or 1,000 rounds at a time. Mm-hmm. Like, because there's more margin built into it, and if they can sell a bunch of it, most manufacturers that have those larger amounts happily will. And I would say that if you have to buy like 250 or 500 Federal HSTs at 90 cents to $1.10 a round, yeah, it's a little painful. But when you realize you're saving like 20 or 25 or 30 cents a round, it starts to justify itself really quickly, especially if you're like my family, where like my carry gun, my bedside gun, my wife's carry gun, like most of the pistol caliber stuff in this house is almost exclusively 9mm. So if I get a 250 round box of Federal HST, 124 grain plus P or standard pressure in 9mm, that will feed 90% of the pistol calibers in this house. Mm-hmm. It makes it a much more attractive, proposition, unless you're shopping for like 357 Magnum or 44 Magnum, then just take a shot of whiskey before you plop the debit card down, because it's going to hurt no matter what.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when you're buying like really expensive types of ammo, like 338 Lapua, 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, like the more esoteric, you're talking about $3, $4, $5 a round type of stuff. I don't even want to look at the register, and I don't want the receipt. I'm just going to hand you my debit. We're going to make this as close to a New York mugging as possible. I give you my debit card, you cause me pain, and then I leave. I just don't want to know. It's like a little kid that gets hurt. As long as I don't see the bone sticking out of the skin, I can act like I'm not hurt that bad, even though I know it's bad. So, household goods and supplies. Is this the part where we can say buy toilet paper in bulk?
Yeah.
Or have we completely played that out, like, in the past 3 years?
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't hurt to buy anything in bulk, really, and that includes toilet paper. If you have a membership to Costco, which I've still been throwing around the idea of getting the membership to Sam's Club or Costco just for buying certain things in bulk. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, buying in bulk is best. I mean, and like I said, yeah, I mean, and that goes with anything, toilet paper, canned goods. I mean, if you can get a flat of canned goods for a better price than you can per canned good, per can, like that's always better if you can. And that's where like the grocery stores, the grocery store up here, or even like Walmart and stuff like that. A lot of the times I'll try to wait for them to go on sale, like when they do the 10 for 10. And actually now, because of inflation, it's more like 5 for 10 is the way it went. But even then, like when they do the better deal, when they knock it down and you get 5 or 10 items, that's usually when I'll stock up on a lot of canned goods and stuff, and buy more because of that, because they drop the price down when you get 5 or 10 items.
You do have to be a little bit careful with that, though, because like I've had the experience at my local Sam's Club where, like, it was a situation where there's certain things we don't get at Sam's Club, so like, and it's more of a quality issue in that case. Like the meat department at our local Sam's is not the best, so we usually go somewhere, spend a few extra bucks, get better quality steaks and everything there. And then there's just certain items that we want they don't carry at the Sam's Club. So we wind up that grocery trip involves 2 trips, which is frustrating. But anyway, like I just happened to be in a situation where we were at Sam's Club after we just come from our store, and there was something there that in the same, like it was a bigger quantity, but when I sat down and did the math, Sam's Club actually has some of their stuff marked up compared to other grocery stores. So again, you do have to kind of watch. You have to kind of watch that. Like, these things are the most aggravating things on earth, but they have a calculator built into them, which makes this really, really simple. But this simply the ability to divide the unit of measurement of however much stuff is in there by the cost will let you very quickly figure out if you're getting taken for a ride or you're getting a better deal. But as far as like Costco, Sam's, any of your big bulk stores, I mean, toilet paper, canned goods, cleaning products, you can very often get a very, very large jug of something at those stores for comparatively less per ounce, which helps a lot. You can get things like laundry detergent, friggin' dryer sheets. I mean, anything you can think of. And again, you have to do your due diligence to make sure you're not paying more just because it's in a bigger container. But a lot of times it is cheaper, and it pays, quite frankly. One thing that Gillian and I, we let our Sam's Club membership lapse because there's not enough things we go to Sam's Club for to justify going like all the way to the other side of town to that Sam's Club, which you've been where I live. It's a situation to get from where I live to the other side of town with all the traffic and everything. But like we could get to our local store and back before and get all of our shopping done in the same amount of time it takes just to drive to the other store. But that being said, when Piper was really, really little, we had a Sam's Club membership and we religiously shopped there for things like diapers. Diapers were substantially cheaper at Sam's, buying in bulk. Baby formula, substantially cheaper, buying in bulk. And we bought 2, 3, 4 at a time to make sure we always had several sitting back on the shelf, because like a hungry child and an empty shelf is a bad day no matter how you slice it.
Mhm.
But like that's the thing that I can say is that, like, yeah, we talked about like food and ammo, but I firmly believe that you should have whatever supply of stuff in your house you are comfortable with. You should have that. Now, I personally, I kind of, I don't target a specific time. What I do is I have places where stuff is stored, and when there's room on the shelf, I go buy more stuff and put it on the shelf. And however long it lasts, it lasts.
Mhm.
But like the COVID toilet paper freak out really showed me that there are a lot of people that don't keep a case of toilet paper on the shelf for emergencies.
Right.
I don't know if they're buying crap paper by the sheet or what they're doing, but like I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and in today's the inflation and with today's dollar, the way it's just going to crap. Uh, we, I mean, look at this kind of stuff and look and uh, if you need it, and shopping online. I mean, I'm all for supporting local businesses and stuff like that, but at the same time, if you can go online and you can have it shipped to your house from Amazon, especially buying in bulk, if you can do that and it's cheaper for you, and especially depending on how much time you have, I don't I don't care how you do it, just get it done, do it.
Yeah. Oh, and since you brought up vacuum bagging earlier, if you have any prepping supplies, like if you can have extra jars and extra lids, if you vacuum bag, buy your vacuum bags in bulk. Like if there's anything specific, like you really, the exercise is like as old as time, and I recommend to people, and to this day they think it's superfluous. But like if you just walk around with a pad of paper and you write on a list of paper everything in your house you touch for a week, you will know very quickly, I need this stuff for a week, for a month, for a whatever. And like people think to themselves, well, I know everything I touch. And I'm like, but you really don't.
Hmm.
You take for granted that it's sitting there on the shelf, or it's sitting there in the fridge, or it's sitting there in the pantry. I take it for granted. Like the only way I keep on top of preps is because I've integrated all that into like my daily life. Like, before we came up to camp, I made a big pan of cornbread that, by the way, we totally forgot to eat. But I made a big pan of cornbread, so I was digging into the pantry for the baking supplies because I like to bake from scratch. Well, lo and behold, I was like, I'm getting kind of low on this. I'm getting kind of low on that. So I go into the auxiliary pantry where extra baking supplies are. And I pull that out, and I'm like, I'm low on that in here too. Like I had some to get the job done, but I need to replenish it. So I put it on a list, and I went to the store, and I bought more, and I put it back away. But like the if you fall into the trap of I only touch this every 6 months, so I don't need to check it, you will forget about it.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out a way to make this exercise of replenishing the stuff you use, whether it's do like I do, and I have a list on my phone, and every time I realize I've taken the last one off the shelf, or the second to last one off the shelf, and bear in mind, if I say I take the last one off the shelf, I mean this shelf, not that shelf over there that replenishes this shelf. But like when I take this one down, I put it on the list. I go get another one. I take that one and move it over there, and I put the new one over there. But you have to go through this exercise, and it sounds like it'd be a big pain in the butt, but it gets to be habit really, really, really quickly. But buying in bulk is just, it makes sense. You have to open your perspective up so that it's not just buying food in bulk, but it's I need to buy the vacuum bags and the cans in bulk too, because that facilitates the food prepping. It's like I buy aluminum foil in bulk. I buy parchment paper in bulk. You know why? Because when you bake a lot and you cook a lot, you need this stuff.
Yeah.
But there's nothing. Like this is kind of where I wanted to open it up, but I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. Like I can't think of the only reason I can think of to not buy any one thing in bulk is if it spoils or it goes bad faster than you can use it with proper storage. Like gasoline is a thing. You can keep gasoline in an airtight container with stay-bill for a period of time, but you can't store it indefinitely no matter how you do it. Eventually it'll go bad. So in that case, I say, okay, I still would say buy in bulk if you can, but the price of a gallon of gasoline doesn't really scale much if you buy it in bulk. Unless you
Right.
buy more, unless you're buying like drums of it and stuff that the average person just can't utilize before it goes bad.
Right.
But I would say, like, just stuff around my garage, adhesives, paint, all that kind of stuff that I know as long as it stays sealed, it will be good for a very long time. I buy the biggest tube of that I can. And that's another thing. If you go to most grocery stores, you will notice that there are two things on the shelf. There's a little bitty container and there's a much bigger container. Don't ever buy the little one. Don't ever. I used to have this argument with a family member all the time. Not my wife, not my daughter, but somebody else that I won't dime out. But I used to have this argument with them all the time because they'd want to go buy the tiniest little something on the shelf. And I'm like, just get the big one. And they're like, but it's just, I'm not going to use all that. And I'm like, you're going to use it eventually. Just get the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it comes to baking supplies, when it comes to hot sauce, when it comes to freaking vanilla extract, when it comes to salt, anything, just buy the big one and you will have more on the shelf for longer. And sometimes that is the simplest solution to buying in bulk is just get the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're talking about bellies and butts, then you don't always want the big one. We got off track.
Yeah. Nice job on that one.
Well, I'm
No.
good for that.
Yeah.
I did warn you I had an espresso shot with my coffee this morning, so I'm like all the way turned up to 110.
Well, yeah, I'm curious to see what other people say. What do you buy in bulk? What do you buy in bulk? What don't you buy in bulk? What do you do with bulk items? Store them, can them, like whatever. But yeah, no, I'm curious what other people have to say. So
Well, and the important thing as we wrap this up is that what you buy in bulk is kind of your own decision. You're a grown person. How you store it is your decision. If you choose not to buy something in bulk, that's okay as long as you have thought about it and made that decision consciously. Like, I am consciously not buying 200 gallons of fuel because I can't use it all before it goes bad. I'm intentionally not buying 200 pounds of freaking fidget spinners because I don't use fidget spinners. Like, have some common sense. But if there's something you're not buying in bulk to try to beat inflation and to try to be stocked up on the shelves, and there's a reason you have thought out to justify that, cool beans. I'd love to hear that too, because somebody else might say, that's a good point. I don't need 200 pounds of fidget spinners.
right.
And if you think of a reason you need 200 pounds of fidget spinners, like, I'm curious. Morbidly curious, but curious. But yeah, buy it cheap, stack it deep. Matter of fact, heading out the door. Bye, everybody.
Bye. See ya.